somebody who I've known for a very long time. He was there the first minute I walked in the door with ESPN, and he is still there. He is none other than Chris Mortensen. How are you, Mort?
Rich, I'm doing well. How are you? And how's Susie and the kids?
Susie is great. She sends her best to you, Mort. She really does. You're one of the best, brother.
Well,
how are you feeling? Let's start with that. You good?
Well, I'm feeling okay. I actually had my scans on this day that we're talking right now. I had my some more scans. Now into starting my 6th year of this cancer journey. So listen, it's 2021. I'm still alive. So this has been a journey, and now I wait for the scans. Everybody gets anxious about those.
Sure.
I'm not as anxious. Got a little side effect reaction to the iodine they put in me, but you're going to have Harry Connick Jr. on, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Extremely talented individual, and I just have to throw this out there.
Yes, Chris.
My wife and I watched Copycat last night. My wife Mickey and I watched Copycat.
Yes.
Copycat stars Sigourney Weaver, made in 1995. But it's when I realized Harry Connick Jr. I know has always had a lot of talent, but he's really a great psycho loon in Copycat, and I just happened to watch it last night.
Well, I will pass that along, Mort. I will pass that along to him when he joins, because he is multi-talented, and he's a diehard Saints fan, to say the least. What are you hearing about Drew Brees right now? Let's get right into the football conversation. Peter King, our colleague, said yesterday he was told by someone who he trusts, pay no attention to the fact that he has yet to announce his retirement. But now we're getting into the part of the NFL calendar where there's a lot of news breaking, and if I want to retire and and I'd like to have a little bit of the spotlight by myself, and there's no reason why he wouldn't want to do that, or you would begrudge him that. Don't you think he should have said something by now, More? What are you hearing?
I know when it comes to those type of things like the retirement, I think they got to be able to do it on their terms when it feels right. If they want to have that announcement. I haven't heard that he is truly contemplating a comeback. But it's a little odd that it's gone this far. Usually it's within a month. The guys like to take about 30 days and then go ahead and make that decision. But once you make it, the old saying about once you retire, once you say you're retired or contemplating retirement, then you're retired. Now, obviously, Kyle Long of the Bears, who's actually coming out of 3-year retirement or whatever it is, a couple of years retirement, doesn't know that. But Drew Brees, here's the thing. I think that Drew and Sean Payton, the coach of the Saints, they've had their conversation. I think Sean has dropped all the hints and clues he wants with trying to be respectful to Drew, that Drew is headed into broadcast land, as we know. And if he pulled a shocker and said, "I'm not going to retire," the next question I would have is it going to be with the Saints? That's the question I would have. I think the Saints are probably prepared to move on, and we're prepared to move on a year ago. But obviously, when Drew came back, it's like, okay, let's go. We'll go another round. But I think the Saints are ready to move on.
Chris Mortensen here on the Rich Eisen Show. Before we get to your report on the Eagles yesterday that made a lot of news, what do you make of Dak Prescott signing for this figure, and whether, Jerry Jones waited too long? There's been a lot of criticism about that, but I don't think he cares. If Dak wins him a championship, that's what he wants right now. What do you make of this signing, Mort?
I've always maintained that, and just listen, having known Jerry since he bought the Cowboys, listen, when Jerry tells you something, especially privately, you can take it to the bank, literally in this case, either take it to the bank or you take the money out of the bank. But he's always made it clear to me that Dak was going nowhere. This contract would get done. They got close last year. It was over the length of the contract. 4 years is what Dak wanted. 5 years is what Jerry and the Cowboys wanted. And actually, if you think about it, if you count the franchise year, last year where he made just under $32 million on the franchise tag, and you add the 4 years that are really going to count on this one, that's the 5 years that the Cowboys wanted since Dak, rookie contract expired. So it's a 5-year deal, but Dak gained $4 million per year by waiting. Because if you average that $31.7 million, whatever it was he made in the franchise tag, compared to what he's making, the average of this 5-year total is going to be around $38.5 million. So I guess what I'm saying is, when I talked to Jerry Jones last Thursday night but didn't tell anybody, except I went on a SportsCenter draft special, Todd McShay's, I just said, I'll say this: he is going to be part of the immediate and future at quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm not surprised. I think it's great money for Dak. I think he's earned it. You know, the guy in his first 4 years as a fourth-round pick got $3.3 million total. And they got Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacking. So I think Jerry's also gotten his value out of Dak Prescott. So I think this is a great thing for both sides.
Chris Mortensen here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's get to the Philadelphia Eagles situation. What is going on in Philadelphia? What? Because a lot of this doesn't square to have Wentz stay the starter as long as he did. But, our friend, your colleague currently at ESPN, my old colleague at NFL Network, Adam Schefter, saying that Doug Peterson and Wentz didn't talk for quite some time, and yet he was holding the Wentz line for what appeared to, from my perspective, way too long. They go to Hurts and then pull him in the fourth quarter of game 256. Then Peterson loses his job. They then hand over the reins to somebody who's never done it before, Nick Sirianni. And now your report saying that Jeff Lurie doesn't want a quarterback competition. He wants Hurts. So then why wouldn't Hurts be the perfect quarterback for Doug Peterson to be, as opposed to somebody who's never done it before? I'll give you the floor with that preamble as the setup. Mort.
Yeah, I think there's a lot there, and sometimes it's easy to misread the cards, and I can understand that. I reported it and knew that the relationship between Doug Peterson and Wentz was fractured, and how it got there, we don't have enough time. And I think part of that is that as Carson got deeper into being an experienced quarterback, he wanted more control of what you did at the line of scrimmage, expand the offense, wanted more input, whereas I think Doug, wanted to maintain that and simplify some things because of injuries or whatever. And eventually it just didn't work. I mean, that was a disaster last year for the Eagles. Their offensive line was a disaster. I think what it proves, in a couple of these, is that, yes, it's a team game, and Wentz crumbled with it. Now, Hurts, when he was taken in the second round last year, it surprised people. And it really was about Carson Wentz's injury history, not his performance. But the fact is that the January before, in that playoff game against Seattle, when Jadeveon Clowney nailed Wentz in the back of the head and gave him that concussion, the Eagles are saying, wow, it's another year we're not finishing the season with Carson Wentz as their quarterback. They bought that insurance in Jalen Hurts, and then we saw what happened with Wentz in terms of how bad it was. Lurie, listen, the one thing he said, and I believed him, I reported about it before he said it, which is that Doug Peterson's status as coach was not going to be tied to Carson Wentz. That gets us to your Jalen Hurts question. Jeffrey Lurie said after he fired Peterson that he wants a more forward, long-term vision of with this franchise. And the sense I got was that Doug, having won a Super Bowl, was like, no, let's get going and find a way to win this year. And Hurts is a guy that I think that they want to find. Jeffrey Lurie wants to find out if he is the guy. In other words, we have the 6th pick in the draft. You're right, that last game was bizarre. We have the 6th pick in the draft. I don't want to get another quarterback to see if we bet the guy. I want to find out if Hurts is the guy. So you, my personnel staff, Howie Roseman and all the guys in the personnel department, you guys build this team to see if we can make Jalen Hurts successful and see if we got what we have in him before we move on to whether he, if he isn't, then we'll move on to the next guy. I probably confused you even more.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't, Mort. I'm just trying to, So the question I have out of everything you just mentioned there, if you could shed some light on it, is that for Peterson to say, I want to win now, and if that wasn't Hurts, then it would have been based on the quarterbacks that they had there, Wentz. And their relationship was fractured. And You see what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't make much sense. Look, I think Hurts is the answer. I think Hurts is all that. I would build with him for sure. But if he is wanting a more long-term answer, and is the rest of the building on board with that? Obviously, they have to be if he's the owner. But the man at the top of the food truck.
Well, yeah, listen, the owner, people, Jeffrey Lurie, a lot of people say, well, this sounds like Jerry Jones. Listen, when it comes to the quarterback and the long-term vision of a franchise, the owner is almost always involved. I mean, they may not be out there talking as much, but and they should be involved in terms of setting the vision for the franchise. Now, Doug Peterson, I think there were a lot of layers to that. It wasn't just he didn't get fired because of his fractured relationship with Carson Wentz, but there was constant internal battle over his coaching staff once Frank Reich left for the Indianapolis Colts, and we can blame Josh McDaniels for that, as you know, when he backed out of that coach job. I think once Frank Reich left, Doug had a challenge to put together the right staff for what they had on offense, not just with Carson Wentz, but the rest of it. And when he wanted to change staffs, he was forced to change some staff members, and he didn't want to change this year. Jeffrey Lurie didn't like that. So a lot of that was about Jeffrey Lurie losing faith in Doug Peterson's to build the proper coaching staff. Now, that can be debated and argued all kinds of ways because the guy won a Super Bowl, didn't he?
Yeah.
Doug did. It's certainly the head scratcher for a lot of people. But, I think Doug was tired of being told that he couldn't hire certain guys that he wanted to hire for his staff. So I think the Eagles are Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I mean, I'm anxious to see how Jalen. I know Jalen personally. I like Jalen, but I also know that Carson Wentz was a heck of a talent as well. But I know from what I know, Jeffrey Lurie just says let's find out about Hurts as opposed to taking a quarterback with a sixth pick. I watched him go and take one. I'm just kidding. Let's take this draft and this offseason and rebuild our offense around Jalen and see what we can do with him and see if he is the answer at quarterback. Because you can't keep drafting a quarterback in the first and second round every year. Yes, you can draft a quarterback every year, but not in the first and second round.
So then last one for you, Chris, in the couple minutes I have left here. What do you think Jeffrey Lurie would be more gun-shy about based on what happened with Wentz? Trading up to the second overall spot to take a shot on Zach Wilson, or re-signing or giving a long-term deal to whichever quarterback is the future of the team, and Hurts or Wilson or whomever early, based on what we just saw, what happened with Wentz? What do you think he's more gun-shy with there?
Yeah, the Wentz contract it may make him a little gun-shy, but to be honest with you, if you really study it, I mean, there's an ability to get out of the contract early, but you're going to take your cap hit. I think you can't give a guy a long-term contract after his third year. I think he would be more nervous about that with Jalen Hurts. But remember, Jalen Hurts is kind of like a Dak Prescott situation.
Yes.
Even though Dak was a fourth rounder, Jalen's second rounder doesn't have that fifth-year option. So the contract's for 4 years. That's different than Wentz and Goff. Trading up to the number 2 spot from number 6, I don't think he has any desire to do that. And I also don't think it's going to be available. I think Zach Wilson is. I think it's the Jets. I think he's the Jets quarterback. It's his job to lose is the phrase I use, even though there's no finality in that. But I think that Zach Wilson is going to be the second pick in this draft, and it's going to be the Jets. And I do not think that the Eagles or Jeffrey Lurie have any desire to go trade up into the 2 spot for Zach Wilson.
Chris, you're the man. You be well. I hope you get back the scan reports that we're all hoping for, and let's chat. Let's chat before the draft. Let's chat in a couple weeks.
And you be well, too. I'm going to go, Daniel Jeremiah tried to take away your 40-yard dash, but we're holding it to We're holding it to you, Rich, on this one. We're holding it to you.
Yeah, I will do it next month, no matter what, DJ, and I'm going to make him time it certainly because of what he had to say about the 40-yard dash no longer, I guess, going by the way of the dodo bird. But thanks for the call, Chris. You take care.
Be well, my friend.
You got it. @Mort Report on Twitter. I follow him. You should, too. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.